Welcome back, everyone. We're here with episode 6.
Episode 6.
Doing the reaction to the Oscars that just happened the other night. This was, what, the 91st Oscars,
That sounds about right.
I believe?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
We're closing in on almost 100 years.
Yeah, almost getting there. So guys, thank you again for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Again, like, subscribe, share these videos if you can.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. We're trying to build up a nice little audience. Hope you guys enjoy the ride. All right. So with that, our traditional drink of choice for this video.
I have a bottle of Kronbacher Pils, which is a German beer, which is a pretty good German beer.
And I am drinking Jack Daniel's on the Rocks. This is Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Rye in my nice little Darth Vader whiskey glass.
Salute.
Cheers. Salute.
Incidentally, the shirt I'm wearing, I kind of like. It's my Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all shirt. So one thing I kind of liked about the in the Guardians movies when Yondu it looks like Mary Poppins, they actually play to
Reference it.
They reference it and make the joke out of it, which they didn't do. Well, not that they could. Mary Poppins doesn't exist in the Star Wars galaxy, but I thought it was I thought it was interesting that they made the joke.
So I think with that,
I will not float, I will drown. You know?
so let's start off with the Oscars.
Okay, so
John is before we continue further.
Mm-hmm.
John is an Oscars connoisseur, if you will.
Yeah.
We could have contests dating back decades of who won Best Picture, Director. I think we can even go into the Best Actor or Actress, and then even supporting roles. And John's most likely going to get them right, or at least grab someone who was nominated.
Or pretty close, yeah. I mean, my Oscar history goes all the way back to the very first Oscars. I have a number of books on the Academy Awards that I've read extensively. One book that I've had for quite a long time was, I think it was 70 Years of Oscar. And it was literally a giant book that literally had like a couple of pages for every year of the Academy Awards, and it listed out every single nomination and win in every category for the first 70 years. And I just, poured through that book left and right. So incidentally, if anybody out there plays HQ, I was very excited when they had Oscar trivia night the other night, but I wound up getting demolished because they asked almost no questions from information that was older than 20 years. Yeah, nothing from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s.
I would say John's strengths
or
are from
90s.
like the 90s.
So you really had to rely on the last 20 years of Oscar knowledge in order to get most of those questions right. Even some of that information was very obscure. So this particular Academy Awards, I thought was, I was actually not looking forward to it at all.
Well, the elephant in the room is no host.
Well, yeah.
First year without a host.
Actually, no, not the first year without a host.
See, this is why he's the connoisseur.
I believe this is at least the second year without a host in modern days. I mean, if you go back to the very first Academy Awards, which I don't even think were televised,
Okay.
or if they were televised, they weren't televised live. They were televised after the fact. But going back, modern day, like basically from 1940 up.
What was your thoughts on how do you think the show itself was overall?
Overall, I thought it was okay. I had three misgivings going into the show. The first one was that there was going to be no host, and I kind of looked forward to
Someone
previous hosts.
Yeah.
Who
was the last person that you enjoyed hosting the Oscars?
There aren't too many people that I haven't enjoyed. If you go way back when, Bob Hope used to.
Well, he had
host
the
a lot
longest
of
run, right?
Bob Hope and Johnny Carson, I believe, used to, multiple, and those are two guys that can, they can do off the cuff remarks, they can make a joke, they can carry a show just on their personality alone. They can react to anything. But I think most people will remember, I think the hosting of Billy Crystal.
I hear his name quite a bit. Other than Bob Hope, I hear Billy Crystal a lot.
Billy Crystal really went all out, and I really enjoyed his hosting efforts. I think the year that Steve Martin did it, really wasn't that good. He could tell he was very nervous and he wasn't really reacting very well. The year that David Letterman hosted it, actually got a lot of criticism, but I thought it was great. I thought David Letterman
Criticism for like he brought up like
all sorts of wacky things
Oh,
and
okay.
odd things, but I thought it was very kind of quirky and eccentric, and I kind of liked it. It was, I thought it was a great, single departure. Like I couldn't see him doing it for 10 years in a row, like say Billy Crystal. But then I think you had hosts like, I think Whoopi Goldberg hosted it a couple times.
okay.
I forget. I think Chris Rock hosted it
Yeah, he did.
recently. I thought they were good. A host can bring a lot to a show. So having no host basically puts everything in the hands of the presenters, who are really the only ones that are going to be talking on
Yeah.
screen. So I think there was a missed opportunity there, but it also could have lended itself to being a faster paced show.
I think it was. It seemed anyway like a faster paced show. I mean, I think before you know it, I thought that 3 hours kind of went kind of quick. I know it went a little bit over the 3 hour mark,
But usually,
which it usually
it
goes over, like,
way
way
over the 3 hour mark.
but this
yeah.
wasn't too far past the 3 hour mark. So
No.
it seemed like it actually, everyone kind of like did a decent job. I don't remember seeing too many of the speeches cut off. There was only maybe a couple that they really looked to.
Well,
cut
to me,
short.
one of the most polarizing things that they were contemplating doing, and it turns out they
Oh.
actually didn't do it, was they were going to actually cut out some of the awards from the live broadcast. They were going to be giving out some of the
During the commercial
less
breaks.
common awards during, less popular awards during
But
the
it wasn't
commercial
just.
breaks.
But it wasn't even just less popular. They were going to do even cinematography and
Well,
editing.
they had drawn a line. They drew a line from like
No, but it was once that was announced, they were going to do like some of the short
you
films,
talk about,
like some of that stuff was gonna get done.
documentary, feature, and short.
I think it was like
probably
short
even
animated,
short.
short live action. But then they were also going to do cinematography and editing. And then once those two got thrown into that mix, you started seeing a lot of
I think there was-
high
a lot
high
of
class,
uproar.
high quality, A-list celebrities saying no, you can't do that.
Yeah, and ultimately they didn't do any. They did
No,
all
they
of
can't.
the line.
They walked it back,
Right.
as well as doing the other controversial one, which I told you about. This was months ago, that they were going to do a most popular film category,
which they didn't do.
which
at
they
all.
didn't do. And
Right,
again,
which has never been done.
and they shouldn't do that.
No,
just
which makes
to
no sense.
just to attract viewers.
Right.
You don't
not for
need that.
nothing. The people that are, those people can watch the People's Choice Awards, or they can watch the MTV Music.
Right. I think those are there are other award shows that
Yeah.
showcase those films.
Right. At the end of the day, there are a lot of different award shows, but the last, and I'm pretty sure this is correct, the last award show of the season is the Academy Awards. I think all these people that either win the SAG Awards, the Directors Guild Awards,
Emmys,
or
Globes.
People's Choice Awards, or the Golden Globes, they're happy that they won. Especially, I think SAG is happy that they're winning from their peers, and
Mhm.
Directors Guild is happy that they're winning from their peers, the directors. But ultimately, every single one of those people wants an Oscar on their shelf. The awards that everybody remembers, either next year or 20 years down the
Right.
road,
This
is
will
what
win the
won
Oscar.
Best Picture of the Year.
Yeah.
I would be hard pressed to tell you a single movie that won the Golden Globe for Best Picture. And if I had to guess, I would just guess whatever won the Oscar that year, because chances are
It's probably
probably
close.
the same. But it wouldn't be a known thing. And I don't think people follow those award shows like people follow the Oscars. They really don't.
The average person probably doesn't. The person like your I think like your film going critic, your lovers of cinema probably.
I think
follows.
critics probably do.
Critics do, yeah.
But like me, I consider myself like an amateur critic, and even I don't follow. I mean, I'll watch the Golden Globes, but it's like, it's
Like you said, you're not going to remember 10 years ago what won Best Picture for the Golden
full of
Globe.
Globes, right? And
Yeah.
and most people don't. So I think everybody's really, I think all of the categories are important. Obviously some are more important than the others. But not for nothing. Quite often, some of the most boring speeches are the ones given by the people that won Best Actor or Best Supporting Actor, and some of the best speeches are given by these documentary filmmakers,
Yeah.
these short animated filmmakers, and people doing costume design and stuff like that.
Well, the woman that won for Black Panther for production design.
Mhm.
I thought that was great.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought
She did a really good run, and even Olivia Colman, because she didn't think she was going to win for Best Actress.
Oh well, I
For
mean,
The Favorite.
yeah.
She didn't think she was going to win.
Yeah,
And
I
that
think
was, that was a real off the cuff speech.
I think Glenn Close probably was the favorite.
Yes, going into
because one, she did a very good role, and she's never won
Right.
an
And
Oscar.
you could
before.
almost say it was like an achievement, like
Yeah.
an overall achievement Oscar.
Yeah, and another thing, I'm really not a big fan of those, because if you know, you really should be giving the Oscar to who deserves it, because if you give somebody the Oscar just to be nice, you've just, you know, shafted somebody else.
Right.
And now someday you may have to make up for that.
Right.
And I'll give you a perfect example of that. I believe in 1939, you know, the odds-on favorite for Best Actor was Jimmy Stewart for Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and he didn't win. Instead, it went to somebody else. I think it may have went to Ronald Coleman. I forget, but it went to for Goodbye, Mr. Chips, and that was considered to be a real major upset. And at that point, it wasn't really it just seemed to be like a miscarriage of justice.
Right.
But like, Jimmy Stewart really should have gotten that award. You know, so now what happens? 1940 comes along, Jimmy Stewart is up for Best Actor again for The Philadelphia Story, and he wins it. And he shouldn't have. He should have won it for Mr. Smith, and he won it for The Philadelphia Story, and he shouldn't have. And the person who should have won it that year was Henry Fonda for The Grapes of Wrath. And now you have a scenario where now Henry Fonda,
When's the next time
Henry
he's up?
Fonda never, you know, hadn't
never
won an
won.
Academy Award, and at some point they had to, you know, give it to him. Now, you know, you if you keep making mistakes,
Right. You can keep having to go back.
when
and
you
forth.
correct a mistake, when you go out of your way to correct a mistake, the only way to do that is to make a mistake, and now you have another mistake to correct down the line. Incidentally, Henry Fonda finally won an Academy. Henry Fonda was slated to get a Lifetime Achievement Academy Award type scenario, like an honorary Academy Award, back in the early '80s when he was very old, and his health was failing, and so the Academy said, okay, you know, every year they give out a certain number of honorary Oscars. Sometimes they don't do any, but usually they can figure someone to get it. So Henry Fonda was going to get it, and as it turned out, that same year he was in On Golden Pond with Katharine Hepburn and Jane Fonda, and actually wound up winning
for that.
Academy Award Best Actor for On Golden Pond, and same year got an honorary Academy Award, and you know, and that was great. And you know, you can say, well, did he really deserve it? And he might have. I forget, you know.
It's all about who he goes up against.
Yeah,
in those
exactly.
categories.
Yeah.
Well, they said for that, you know, for going back to the Best Actress, a lot of people said that Glenn Close's portrayal was like carried her film, The Wife.
Yeah, and I hadn't seen that, but I saw
hadn't
some
seen
clips
that
of
either.
it.
But I've you know, I heard from all the reviews and people that have been talking about it, they were pretty much saying how Glenn Close carried her film, and that she really may have deserved it, and that Olivia Colman really was an upset. Although people really did enjoy her role as well.
Well, so
in
oddly
the film.
enough, in the Golden Globes, I believe there are separate categories.
Right,
for
and that's how
acting.
you get away with it.
There's drama
comedy.
and then musical comedy,
Yeah.
and I believe Glenn Close won one,
She went for the drama because The
Yeah,
Favorite
yeah.
was they pushed it into the other category.
and the other girl, what's her name?
Olivia
the
Colman?
Favorite, Olivia Colman, who I've never heard of before this movie. She won the Golden Globe for the other acting category. So now
Right.
it's like, it's always a toss up, and you know, usually kind of, you know, if it's really close, usually people may think that, you know, well, it's going to go to the drama, the dramatic film,
Which it usually,
high
I
profile
think,
film.
in the past, it typically does. Like
Yeah.
I don't really know how many times the Academy has really honored films that are true comedies.
Not too often.
It's usually based on a true story or
Mm-hmm.
more drama related. At least that's what it seems since I've really been watching.
Right, and you know, and it come at the end of the day. I mean, it really comes down to diversity. And incidentally, her acceptance speech was great. You know, it was
That might have been my favorite speech
It was
of the entire
definitely.
night.
I think some of my favorite speeches, and I would definitely hers for the favorite. I really enjoyed Lady Gaga's speech because it was very
that really was from the
Star
heart.
is Born. It was very heartfelt.
She was getting a lot of criticism because everyone was basically saying you knew you were going to win, and like the way that you went up there and spoke and like kind of got all emotional was like a little
Fake?
over the top and kind of fake. And I'm like, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think that was like really heartfelt, and it's just
I
okay. Listen,
do
even
too.
if you knew that you were going to win, that's still a prestigious award
Yeah.
that you worked really hard to get.
Yeah.
And you know what? You are going to get emotional. I don't care if you knew you were going to win or you didn't know you were going to win. Like
Well,
in my opinion, that to me was they were going to win for Shallows.
yeah.
Like there was no way that song was not winning.
And I don't know
the
that
song.
I don't know that there are that many givens in any particular Academy Award. Like,
No.
you know, it's a guarantee this person's going to win. I honestly, I don't feel that.
This might have been the only one that was as close as you could get to a guarantee.
Yeah, I mean,
Out
but
of all the other songs, this is the one that stood out as most memorable.
oh, I agree. I mean, I think it was definitely the odds-on favorite, but you know, you're not up there until you're up there.
Right.
So I think and I think it means a lot to her. They did mention that
too.
she had been nominated a couple times before. Oh no, I think at least once before because they were counting her nominations, and it was like she's been nominated for 3 Academy Awards, including this one, but one of them was for Best Actress this year. So I think
Right, so it's maybe only, like,
she
one
must
at
have
a
had
time.
another song at some point in her career. You know, and now another thing, these are people that are musicians. You know, their aspiration is to win a Grammy.
Right.
You know, to win an Oscar is not your expectation. So it really is, you know, the icing on a cake. You know, and you really only have that choice, you know, that opportunity to do that really in the best song category. And quite often there are a lot of movie song people
Right.
that you know get most of the nominations.
she's
Like
actually-
someone like Randy Newman,
Right. Who's written countless
he's not going
original
on
songs.
tour. You know,
Yeah. But it's just amazing. I think it just goes to show how talented she is that not only is she a top performer, but how she writes her own songs.
right?
And
She
that
wasn't
was-
just singing someone
Right.
else's
And
song.
that she was able to actually collaborate this with her other 3 writers that she works with, and came up with this what I thought was a fantastic song, and I thought a fantastic performance.
Yeah, I mean, I think her nomination was deserved.
Absolutely.
I think
Even
think
for
it was
Best
deserved.
Actress, I
Yeah,
thought
for
it was
Best
deserved.
Actress.
Even I thought she was very, very
Yeah.
good. And
You know.
the performance by her and Bradley Cooper, I thought was fantastic. Just such a really good, like that like connection between the two of them when they were singing that song.
Now I did feel that I think Bradley Cooper was Bradley Cooper was not nominated for Best Director, and I think he probably should have been. But it's a little hard when you get to some of these categories because for the way the Academy works is that for certain categories they are not nominated by everybody. The nominations for Best Director comes from the directors within the Academy. Everybody doesn't get to choose. So he's not. There's no one he can really be mad at except the people that are part of that craft.
Right.
So a lot of those categories are nominated only by the people within those categories. But when it comes to the voting, in almost every category, almost anybody in the Academy can vote for all the categories. The only exception to that, I think, is some of the documentary features or the animated features like the short subjects. You actually have to watch. You have to actually watch those in order to qualify to vote. Which is probably fair because if you haven't seen these short films, what's your criteria? Based on the name, that makes no sense. So it actually is kind of interesting.
Were you shocked at any of the award winners? Out of the major categories, was there anything that you were shocked at?
I don't know because it's a little hard because a lot of the movies this year I had not seen. I probably spent most of my year going to see all sorts of superhero films, and had seen some of the films nominated. And there are
But you
definitely
usually see everything.
No, not everything. Usually
I mean,
there's
well, I'm not
usually
saying
there's a
everything.
couple that you just don't get around to seeing.
But the ones that are usually up for Best Picture, you typically make a.
I try to.
You try to see.
I
just
try
about all
to.
of them.
Now this year, for the last couple of years, it's been hard because the Best Picture category has been expanded to include up to 10 films. Now I think I mentioned in a previous episode, if you go back, to the 30s and the 40s, typically there were more than 5 films nominated for Best Picture, and at some point they capped it at 5. But back in the day, I think the rationale was, in the 30s and the 40s, that there were so many good films, it was impossible to narrow it down to 5. The field was just so intensely competitive.
But you think it's better that they have an option up to 10?
Well, I think it makes sense to have an option up to 10 when you have a lot of great films to choose from.
And you don't have to do 10. Like this year was what, 8?
Right.
I think they did.
In all honesty, if it was based on quality, there's a certain rationale that how would you explain it? Some people always tell me that even if every film made was crap, one of them is still better than all the rest, and that's the
Right.
Best Picture of the year. And it's like, yeah, I get that rationale, but also that there should be almost a certain level of prestige or a certain qualifying.
We're talking about Best Picture of the year.
Best Picture, yeah. Like there should be some sort of level of qualification where you just expect a certain level of quality from all the from all the nominees. I expect them to be great films. And I don't know that we're seeing enough great films on a yearly basis to justify going to the option of up to 10. Because you're not going to find 10 four-star films. I think you would be hard-pressed to argue whether there were even more than 2 four-star films nominated for Best Picture of the Year. That might be a really harsh, judging system. But, I think what most people consider 4-star movies today are really 3.5-star movies because they don't
see too many.
The level of quality that I think, you can go back over the years. People are just not used to seeing such great films anymore. That when a really good movie comes around, the knee-jerk reaction is, "Oh my God, it's 4 stars."
Yeah.
But if you put that into perspective of the history of film, and you look at all the 4-star films that have been designated from the 20s through to today, you're going to sit there and say, "Okay, all these films that they're calling 4 stars in 2018, you start comparing those to all the other 4-star films from the past, and you go, wait, you know what? They really aren't 4 stars. They're really like 3.5. But nobody knows what a 4-star film is anymore. To me, they did not increase the number up to 10 because they just felt there were so many good movies, they didn't know what to choose
Well,
from.
they did it to be more diverse.
They did it for diversity reasons. And that's not a bad reason. It basically kind of keeps the Academy out of trouble because they know that they can spread the number of Best Picture nominations around so that nobody's going to get offended. It really was a reaction because the Academy has been constantly going under scrutiny and criticism over the last probably 10 or 15 years,
Right.
because of lack of diversity, potential bias.
And some of that could have rang true for a number of years.
Oh, sure.
And you just see over the last couple of years that they've really tried to spread and diverse just all the different members that they have coming in nowadays. I don't know if they changed some of the criteria, but you can definitely see just in the films and the people that are getting selected how much more diverse now the field has become.
Yeah, and I think the Academy, there's an argument there, and there's merits on both sides. If you go back a couple of decades in the Academy, there's always statistics out there over, what was the average age of the Academy member and what percentage of those Academy members were male, versus female, or
Right.
white versus any other demographic, and if you go back 30, 40 years ago, you look at that, you look at those statistics.
Well, it's very different.
You can sit there and
Obviously
say,
that.
well, yeah, if there's an accusation of prejudice, I could see that because it's all these older white males,
Yeah.
who maybe are
But that was the time frame. That was the time period.
right. And now I
things
think
have
it's
just
changed.
Yeah.
I think a lot of those older members have either died,
Yeah.
and
No longer
they're
members.
going out of their way to open the doors and invite into the Academy a more diverse, or balanced group of people. So what by doing that, you can, I believe you can eliminate, or maybe not 100% eliminate, but you can downplay that possibility of the prejudicial
bias. Yeah.
So now you have this, but it doesn't satisfy the other part of the equation, because a lot of people used to complain to the Academy. They would criticize the Academy for the lack of diversity in the nominations. And the other part of that argument is that, it's not the Academy's fault what the group of good movies out there are. If there is a lack of diversity in Hollywood, in the movie industry, that is not the Academy's fault. The Academy's job is to recognize greatness. And if there are not a lot of diverse films being
That
made,
could be Hollywood's fault.
It's absolutely Hollywood's fault.
Yeah.
It would be different if there was a gazillion diverse movies made by black filmmakers or Asian filmmakers or women directors. If there was if there's always been a whole bunch of those out there, of all different artistic levels, and none of them are ever getting nominated, you can sit there and say, yeah, there's got to be something going on there. But if these films are not being made, it's a very small
There's
subset.
no opportunity.
It's not the Academy's fault that there's there's just nothing that is going to fit the bill. It's really up to the people that are complaining about this need to complain to the movie studios,
Right.
To make more movies of diversity and give more opportunities.
Absolutely.
To women directors and non-white directors.
Yeah, different ethnicities.
Oh, absolutely. And even go as far as to try and recruit that diversity in the film schools. Someone's not going to walk off the street and become a director.
But
You got to go to NYU Film School.
But it definitely seems like within the last 4 or 5 years, you're seeing more and more of that
No,
happening.
I do.
Like more and more people are given these opportunities to, whether it's direct, starring, just given these opportunities to do these roles.
Yeah, no, and I think
to fill these spots.
No,
And
absolutely.
you're definitely starting to see that. When
And I
it
think
comes time
that's
for
good.
award season.
I think that's good because it's
That's what it should be.
the movie-going audience is diverse.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it makes sense for there to be, diversity and choice in the films that are out there. And it also comes down to the types of movies that are being made. If your only interest is to make, simplistic crowd pleaser dramas or simplistic, crowd pleasing horror films or comedies,
Right.
things that could go to the
Well,
lowest.
that'll do well box office wise, but it's not going to get recognized award
Right,
season.
and
time.
but that's the goal of the filmmaker. The filmmaker has to sit there and say, what are they trying to accomplish? Are they just trying to make money? And if so,
Right.
I hope you do, and if you do, that's great. But don't complain that you're not, getting
Recognized for anything.
all these nominations.
Yeah.
There's so many movies out there. Just like Tyler Perry's Medea Family Reunion, is not going to get nominated.
It's funny.
It's funny. It's great. There's nothing wrong with that movie.
No.
But it's like you're
You're also
not
catering to your audience.
you're catering to your audience
Right.
and you're trying to
You're
fill
not catering-
seats
you're not
and make
catering to the
people
academy.
happy.
You're not catering to the academy.
You're not catering to anything highbrow either. You're not trying to do high art. You're trying to do just fun movies.
Right.
Just
Which,
like
you
the
said,
same people
there's
that
nothing. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
It's what's your intended audience.
Right, it is what it is. People that made movies like Ernest Goes to Camp.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying there is enormous diversity in these types of movies.
Right.
They're made by everybody. These are not movies that they're there to fill seats and make money
That's
and
it.
turn a profit, and that's great. So now, if you're going to deal with an artistic product, where someone is putting their heart and soul and trying to make a good movie to be recognized, to have the accolades, then that's a different type of movie. And now that's the type of movie you can say, okay, I want this to be
We want
worthy of
this to be a contender.
I want this to be a contender, and I'll give you the perfect foil to that. There's a movement in film known as new wave Mexican cinema. And some people say, "Oh, what are you talking about? You know, nobody cares about these art house films. You know, what are you talking about?" But you know, these are not art house films. And there are three people that are mainly involved with the Mexican New Wave. Three directors. It's Alfonso Cuarón, Guillermo del Toro,
Yep.
and Alejandro Inarritu. These are like the three main guys. You know, and this is just three guys. Like, not for nothing that, you know, I would like there to be more. But these three guys are doing stuff that is unparalleled in modern day cinematic history. You know, these guys are making films that are blowing everybody away. And you might not even know that these are the guys behind these films. You know, so for instance, you know, aside from, they probably got their starts in Mexico and made, you know, films in the Mexican market, you know,
Right.
you know, but eventually they were good enough and they expanded into the American market.
Yeah, the studios
And
gave
they
it a
have
shot.
made, each of them have made films that have like, you know, a Mexican theme, or whether it be part of Mexican history or Mexican characters, you know, movies that take place in Mexico, either present day or past. But they have also made films that have nothing to do with the Mexican history or lifestyle, you know. So for example, the last 5 years in the Academy Awards.
Yeah, for best director.
Last 5 years.
Yep. Including this year.
Yeah, if you go back this year and the 4 Academy Awards past, the Academy has given out 5 Oscars for Best Picture and 5 Oscars for Best Director. And in my opinion, those are the most important categories are picture and director. I could talk about that another day, but in my opinion, directors are more important to the movie industry than actors and actresses, because they're at the top. You know, the producers just provide the money. The directors provide the art, and they use their actors and actors in their craft. You know, you could say, you know, Spielberg as a director and his body of work has influenced the history of film. You know, Harrison Ford's body of work did not influence anything. You know, it was his work in the films of Spielberg and in the films of Lucas that contributed to that. But ultimately, it was Spielberg and people like Lucas and, you know, and any director, Scorsese, Coppola, Woody Allen. These directors are the ones that, you know, have the body of work that influenced the course of film. So these 10 Academy Awards that were given out over the last 5 years, how many of those 10 Academy Awards would you think went to those 3 people in the Mexican New Wave?
Well, I know
related to their films.
I know for the best director the last 5 years, I want to say 4 out of the 5 years went to them.
4 out of 5 best directors went to one of those.
Went to one of those 3 guys.
And 2 out of 5 best pictures went to one of those 3 guys. So you got these 3 Mexican guys that have taken 6 of the 10 best picture and best director Oscars in the past 5 years. That is unbelievable. I mean, so the movies involved were this year was obviously Roma for best director for Alfonso Cuarón. Last year
was Shape of Water.
Was Shape of Water, best picture and director for Guillermo del Toro.
The year before that.
The year before that was Moonlight, so that they weren't involved in anything.
Right.
The year before that was The Revenant, best director for Alejandro Inarritu. And the year before that was Birdman, best picture and best director for Alejandro Inarritu. The market of these, you know, Mexican films, there's not a whole lot of them. So like percentage-wise, there's not a whole lot. But what are they doing? They got 3 guys making a film or 2 a year, and they're kicking ass. They're making great films, and they're getting nominated, and they're winning. And not because someone's sitting there going, we better just give it to them. No, they're making the best films.
Yeah.
You know, these are great films. And I'll be honest with you, The Revenant and Roma easily could have won Best Picture the years they were nominated. I mean, I honestly thought Roma was going to win Best Picture. And I thought The Revenant was a better picture than Spotlight. You know, and all of these films, the only one I think that's in Spanish is Roma. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, I like that these directors can do what they can go back to the roots, because Roma is about, growing up, I think,
Struggling.
in Mexico
Yeah.
back in the 70s. So it's a personal movie for the director. But these other movies, you're talking, Leonardo DiCaprio is starring in a movie about, that takes place in American history.
Yeah.
Birdman, about, these, actors and actresses, doing stuff in New York City. The Shape of Water, which is really like a glorified sci-fi Creature of the Black Lagoon type of Beauty and the Beast story. None of these films take place in Mexico except for Roma. So you got these guys these guys are making great films, and they're not complaining about anything, and they're just honing their craft. And these guys have been making films for a while. I mean, if you've ever seen Pan's Labyrinth by Guillermo del Toro,
Yep.
that movie is fantastic. I was just going through Showtime On Demand last night, just looking for just some films that I could watch, and most of the films are from 2000 and up. And I came across a movie that I probably heard of it, but didn't know much about it. 21 Grams. And I look at it, and I'm like, who's in this movie?
Oh, I've seen
And
that.
I'm like, Benicio del Toro, Sean Penn, and Naomi Watts. I'm like, that's a pretty good cast. Who directed it? Alejandro Inarritu. And I'm like, I didn't know that. Right then and there, I was like, I am watching this movie. So I, put it in my queue. I'm going to watch it. Right then and there. Movie about, people dealing with, drug issues and overdoses and
Right.
Tragedy and stuff like that. It's just like, it's just that, if these guys have not limited themselves in the story that they're telling. They're very talented, and they will tell any story, and they will do it artistically and with quality, and they'll just keep jumping around. It really almost reminds me of Spielberg, how Spielberg jumped from genre to genre. He didn't just
He just
copy
didn't stick with
himself
the whole
over.
thing.
Whatever, it was funny. Whatever Spielberg did, everybody just tried to copy, and then Spielberg did something else, and everybody tried to copy that, and it just, Spielberg just went down the line. He just did what he wanted to do, and that's what these guys are doing. They're just doing what they want to do, and they're doing a great job, and they're winning. I mean, 6 out of 10 Academy Awards in the last 5 years is unheard of. They're winning. I don't think they're winning because people are trying to placate them or say, we're diverse. Because you wouldn't have to do it every year. I mean, they just keep coming out with these great films, and they are critically acclaimed, and they're getting 3.5, 4 stars from everybody. And I think people are enjoying them, and they deserve to win. They deserve to be nominated and deserve to be win. They deserve to win most of the time, and I just hope they keep doing it because these are the types of directors that are bringing art back to film.
Right.
Roma was probably the first black and white film, all black and white film to be nominated in a long time. I forget, maybe the Artist.
What was the one that was black and white a couple of years ago? That was.
Well, the Artist, I think,
The
was
Artist,
black
right.
and white, but it was also silent, which is a little odd.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any. I don't think that, I don't expect films to go back to silent, but I do expect film to take a jump back to black and white. And I would like to think, and that's why I was really hoping for Roma to win Best Picture, because it would have been the first a really good black and white film. To have a black and white film win Best Picture again would be amazing.
You did not see Green Book.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't, and I want to.
Yeah. Because I'd be interested in your take whether because see, I saw Green Book, I did not see Roma.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you if I thought Roma was honestly better or not. I mean, I saw Green Book. I saw.
Now I'm going to talk about Roma in a later episode because there's a lot to talk about that film. But I'm sticking to the Oscars. Yeah.
So I saw A Star Is Born. So Bohemian Rhapsody.
I saw A Star Is Born.
Bohemian Rhapsody. Bohemian Rhapsody. I liked a lot. It obviously brings back all the songs that Queen does throughout the entire film, and there's even some songs as they're playing them, I'm like, oh wait a minute, that was Queen, that's right. And it's like you almost forgot for a second that they did some of those songs.
Yeah, Queen has a huge playlist,
and they really do. And in every song was like a hit. Like they came out with hit after hit after hit. That was really enjoyable. A lot of like drama behind the scenes, obviously with Bryan Singer, but
Yeah.
you know, the film itself I thought was pretty good. Rami Malek won Best Actor. I did think he was definitely one of the best in that category.
Yeah, and I had heard he was the odds-on favorite, and apparently his portrayal of Freddie Mercury was supposed to be like really on point.
I really want to. I haven't seen Vice, but I really want to see what Christian Bale did with that role because I mean he gained so much weight for that role and really transformed himself into Dick Cheney. The Green Book, Viggo Mortensen, he got nominated too. He was great. I really liked his performance in Green Book.
Now Viggo was nominated for Best Actor.
Right.
And
Mahershala Ali
was nominated for supporting
actor.
Was that really the dynamic? Like, was he the leading?
The story really was more about Viggo Mortensen's character than it was Mahershala Ali.
Okay.
And I think that's where some of the drama for this film has really come in. You know, all the people that were like kind of complaining and because what the story was all about, you know, the Green Book and, you know, for African Americans traveling down south, like these were the Green Book was basically the places that you could go that was, you know, designated safe if you were black and you were in the South.
For you to perform.
Not even just perform, but like hotels, restaurants,
okay.
like for you to like stay and sleep and eat. So as that was, I guess, like accurately portrayed, I guess like the portrayal of the doctor, what was his name, Dr. Shirley, I think Don Shirley.
Because it's a true story.
Yeah, true story, penis. But like that's the true aspect of it is how much of it's really true and how much of it's kind of made up a little bit. Or
well, almost every film is dramatized.
But I think but I think even like Don Shirley's family was even complaining that like much of the portrayal between Tony the Lip, who was Viggo Mortensen's character, and Don Shirley was not quite accurate. And Tony the Lip's son, his son in real life, was one of the screenwriters.
Okay.
So
really?
Bella Longa, whoever the Bella Longa's son, he was one of the screenwriters for this movie.
Okay.
And there was definitely some like drama as far as like he never really like consulted the family about this. It was a lot of it was based on like his stories with his father, and I think he had even talked to Don Shirley before he passed away. And I think that there's like some discrepancies with that. So I think that's one of the reasons why there was some drama with this film. And this is kind of one of those films where it was, I think Black Klansman addresses some of the, you know, hidden racism, not hidden, but, you know, some of the racism a little bit more head on than what Green Book does, because Green Book is it's almost like a little like one of those, like, it's like a nicer story, but it's not.
little like brushed over.
But the black character is a secondary character. Yeah. And it's like, you know, talking a movie about Green Book should really have him front and center. Yeah,
because like I said, because I hadn't seen the films, I wasn't. Sometimes, you know, the relegation of Best Actor and Supporting Actor or Actress and Supporting Actress, you know, doesn't necessarily fall along the lines of logic.
But that's where also the production company ends up putting them, right? Isn't like it's like it's
well, it's a matter of where you decide to go. Because, like, for example, the most famous example is Pulp Fiction, where John Travolta was nominated for Best Actor, and Samuel L. Jackson was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. And in reality, I think Samuel L. Jackson has more screen time than John Travolta. I mean, maybe. You know, I'm not sure.
I don't know either.
I know, honestly. Well, I think
it's got to be such a small amount.
Yeah, in all honesty, they both probably should have been nominated for Best Actor. It would be hard to say that one was.
But that you don't want them competing against.
And that's what I think it was. They didn't want them both competing for Best Actor, so they split it. They split them. Yeah. You know, and that's it. Sometimes these are, you know, and I was curious if that was like a strategic thing where they were like, you know, I mean, because of, you know, I was under the impression that, you know, it was like on the road with these two guys. Yeah. So they're both in the movie the entire time. Yeah. You know, so I would think they would both be.
Yeah, they both. I mean, they both are. I mean, the majority of the scenes are with these two guys. Yeah. But Viggo definitely has more screen time than Mahershala Ali. But a really good story. Like, I still enjoyed the film overall. I didn't really know so much about the the behind the scenes stuff really until actually after they won the Oscar,
Mhm.
and I kind of go back and I'm seeing some of that stuff, but I don't know if that. I mean, knowing that stuff, I don't know how much that really takes away from watching the film because I still enjoyed the film.
Yeah, I mean, I've had enough people tell me to go see Green Book. Like, you
Yeah.
got to see it.
I was one of those people. I told you
Yeah,
to see it.
you know, and I've had people at work tell me, you know, it was, you know, whereas I think with Bohemian Rhapsody, I've kind of heard a little bit of mix. I think critically it's gotten very mixed reviews. Some people said it was great, some people said it was not that good. You know, I've seen everything from like 2 stars to 3.5.
One thing about Bohemian Rhapsody, it's like it skates over a lot of Freddie Mercury's life once he leaves the band, and I don't think they really show a lot of like the drugs and all that stuff. That part of his life, they kind of like skim over that. So
Well, I mean, you know, part of
I
these
don't know, like, how do you
biopics
not
is
tell?
it's hard to, you know, you're either judging it on the merits of the film or the merits of the truthfulness, you know, or the accuracy, that's
I think that's
the
a
hard
gray
thing.
area.
You know, that's you know, you get like, you know, like a movie like JFK that Oliver Stone did.
Right.
You know, it's like, you know, JFK was a very well made film, but most people will say that 90% of the film was
Historically,
nonsense.
right? Historically,
So
some of it's
does
skewed.
that detract away from the stars, the rating? You know, I think it is a criticism of the film, but it's don't necessarily know that it it's a talking point.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it was a well made, put together film.
Yeah.
You know, albeit, you know, for a story, it's probably drove people crazy.
And Star is Born, I enjoyed Star is Born. I like the performances of both Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga.
Oh yeah, I thought the first half of that movie was fantastic,
Mm-hmm.
and the second half tapered off a little bit. I think the second half could have been better. I think the first half was real, like the first half being, you know, how she goes from nobody to being the person discovered and on stage.
Yeah.
You know, and
Watching her grow, I thought was great.
yeah, because most of that, most of the first half of the film took place almost over a 24 or 48-hour period. It was like from when they first introduced
Right.
her to when he finally brings her
Yeah, like she
on
comes to
stage
his
for the
concert,
first time.
and yep,
You know,
yeah.
that was a really long, drawn-out part of the movie, but I thought it was like
it was well
a
done.
really in-depth, focus, just lengthy scene.
Yeah,
And I thought it was done great. And then I think what happened is they said, okay, the movie can only be so long, and we've spent this much on this, and now this is how much time we have left for this.
once she got the orange hair, that started to drop down for me.
Yeah, and I really felt that they didn't get enough into the philosophy of her, you know, selling out, you know,
Right,
and
it just happens.
becoming. You know,
I feel like there's a switch that flips and she just sells out.
she sells
it's-
that, and I don't
it's-
think she comes like there's no
It doesn't-
self-discovery there where
Right.
she realizes that
I sold out.
I sold out. Like it's just
Yeah.
that, you know, he's out of the picture, you know, and I really felt that
That was missed.
they should have made the movie a half an hour longer and given the more depth to the second act of the film that it deserved, and I think that movie would have been.
Yeah, the performances I thought were really good.
Outstanding.
Even Sam Elliott, I enjoyed him in the film too. But I think John's right. I think you could have probably drawn that out a little bit more and really shown her changeover towards the end. Not just realize, okay, he's dead. I'm going back to my roots.
Right.
Where she gives that single performance at that solo performance at the very end.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen that. And we both saw Black Panther.
We both saw Black Panther. Now, okay, so Black Panther
Won
won 3 awards.
3 awards.
The most, I believe, the movie that won the most awards was 4.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody won 4.
Yep.
Black Panther won 3.
I think Black Panther and,
And
Green
Green
Book
Book won 3.
right? Yeah.
And Roma won 3.
Yes.
And then there's a bunch of 2s and 1s after
Yeah.
that. But yeah, I mean, Black Panther won for, I think, a lot of
Well, production.
production, costume design,
No, it was costume design's different from hair and
hair and
makeup, right? Hair and makeup,
Yeah.
Vice won,
Yeah,
and then soundtrack.
and soundtrack.
I actually think that the Black Panther music is one of the better soundtracks out of all the MCU because that was very specific and made it sound like all the themes from Wakanda.
Mhm.
That's such a specific theme that they were going for, and I think they nailed that.
Mhm.
I thought that was actually really good. But it's funny, as much as I like Black Panther, I don't even think that was the best MCU film last year. I still say Infinity War was. I liked Infinity War better than Black Panther. But Black Panther is just, it's very historic,
Yeah.
I think.
Well, I mean,
for-
Infinity War is basically the culmination and funneling of all the films.
Right.
Whereas Black Panther is like its own self-contained story from beginning
Yes.
to end. No, I mean, I thought Black Panther was really good, and I think it was definitely a good contender for costume design with all the different things that they had with the different, with the different tribes. You know, they really
That scene where
they really went into a visual
Yeah.
look.
well, just
Which
just
I thought was
Wakanda,
great.
Wakanda alone, I think visually is stunning. And then you have that scene where all the tribes are out, and he's getting where he has to get, like, he gets challenged.
Yes.
At that in the beginning of the film for King, where all the tribes come out. I mean, all the different clothing that comes out at that point in time, I thought was
Yeah.
great. And then just the scenery of Wakanda itself, like, you believe that this is somewhere in Africa.
Yeah.
I thought that was just really, really well done. And there's the advanced technology that they had. I really did enjoy that. I thought that was good.
Now there was another movie that did hit for one Academy Award that you saw, and I know you really liked, and I didn't see it yet. First Man.
I didn't see First Man.
Oh, I thought you saw First
No,
Man.
I wanted to see
Oh,
First
you've
Man.
been telling me you've been wanting to see it for so long. I
I
thought
wanted
you
to see
saw
First
it.
Man. No, I
Well,
love that type of
First
stuff,
Man
but I
won
didn't
for
see it.
visual effects.
Visual effects. It won over both Solo and Infinity War.
Yeah. Well, and I'll be honest with you, I was actually glad it did because I'm really good at I always find myself saying who I would vote for in the Academy Awards, even if I hadn't seen the movies yet, because you can kind of get a taste or feel for what they're doing, and just looking at the contenders and showing what they showed. I mean, I saw Solo and I saw
Infinity War.
Yeah. And I hadn't seen First Man, and at the end of it, I sat there and I said I think First Man should win this because I felt that Infinity War and Solo were just so CG. Like,
Right.
there was just so much CG there that, it's like, it's less impressive from a visual effects standpoint. It's like, if someone paints a really bad picture of a giant spaceship and somebody paints a really good picture of a blade of grass, which is the better picture? You know what I'm saying? Like, it has nothing to do with, it's like, you can just throw all the CG up on the screen, but at the end of the day, it's just all computer programs and someone just saying, make it look like this. I think with the visual effects in First Man, it looked more like, they were doing
I don't know
stuff
how
and showing stuff.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
I don't think it was all CG
I don't know
just
how
thrown
much
on the
of
screen.
that was the thing I was gonna say. Like, I don't know how much First Man had like real props, real sets that they destroyed rather than it being CG. That stuff I don't know. I really do want to see that film though.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do too, because I think that was also, well received. I think of all the films that had a decent number of nominations that I hadn't seen that I really want to see the most, I think is still If Beale Street Could Talk. Which I was actually surprised it was not nominated for Best Picture based on what I've heard about
A
it.
lot of other people were too. Like, couldn't believe.
And like I
that
said,
film
I
was
haven't seen it,
nominated.
so I don't know if it's deserved or not. But from what I've heard about the film and what I've seen in whether it be clips or previews or whatever, like that movie really drew me in. I was like, I really wanted to see that film. So I was glad that it did hit for Best Supporting Actress.
I want to see it just for Regina King's performance. Like, there are
Yeah.
some films I want to go and see just for the person's performance. Like, if I probably will see The Wife just to watch Glenn Close. Like, I nothing else is probably drawing me into that film but Glenn Close. Like,
Yeah, see,
wanna
and I was never a big Glenn Close fan, so I think I'm more likely to be eventually see The Favorite down the line, but only because I felt like from the scenes I heard, like the interplay of the three main characters is
Right.
very juicy and it's very
Well, that's what you had again.
catty almost.
You had two people. You had Emma Stone and you had Rachel Weisz going against each other for Best Supporting Actress.
Right.
Going
And they
against
all-
one another.
yeah,
and
they
they both
lost.
did
Yeah.
together. But I think again going into that, everyone kind of knew that Regina King was almost a lock for getting Best Supporting Actress.
Yeah. That just further cemented me sitting there going like, I really want to see that film. That to me would look like a very different type of film that looked, really in like small scale.
Yes.
It's a story about I think somebody either wrongly accused or potentially wrongly accused of a crime, and how it affects this family, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that the way it looked really good. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
I still want to see Vice. I heard decent things about that film.
Yeah, that's a movie that kind of fell off my radar. I didn't really I don't know. I feel like if I finally watch it, it's gonna be like it looks like a little. It almost looks like a little bit of a roller coaster ride with characterization and stuff.
Yes.
You know, a lot of stuff going on. You know, I'm not too much of a political person, believe it or not. Like I don't really follow politics. So when I see some of these like political movies, you know, I'm almost telling people, don't tell me how it ends, because I don't know. You know, is he getting assassinated? Is he gonna win? Is he gonna lose? Like I don't know.
No spoilers for John.
No spoilers. You know.
But you know, I think overall, I thought it was a good job. I thought it was different again without the host, but I thought it worked. I will say that I'll give the Academy credit for this. They made it work without the host.
Oh yeah.
All the guests that came out and presented the awards.
I mean, I definitely think they. Yeah, I mean, they really. You could tell that they really went out of their way to make it a very a diverse cast with all the presenters. It was just.
I think they were going out of the way to make sure that it was a tight show, that they tried to really stay on time as much as they could.
Well, yeah, I think without having a host, they probably gained some time back where they said, you know what, let's put all the awards in. You know, and I think over the years they have been they have been trimming things. A lot of the honorary Academy Awards are no longer part of the main show, and which is a little bit of a shame because I kind of like those. Those are done via a separate ceremony. The scientific and technical awards have always been a separate ceremony because that's the whole day.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole lot going on there that's probably a couple hours that people don't really know about. But things like they usually have the Irving Thalberg Award, the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award, and any other sort of honorary Oscars. Those are now done in a separate ceremony.
That's been a while, right?
And it's been a shame too because most of the people that win those awards are household names. The honorary Academy Awards are usually going to people that are being celebrated for a body of work.
Right.
Whether it be a director or an actor or an actress, or in some cases, a really good cinematographer or visual effects person or composer. But usually those people are so good and so well known, like they're known,
they've been nominated before.
Right. Someone like John Williams could get,
which he's won countless Academy Awards.
So it's a shame, but those usually tend, and the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award is it's a humanitarian award. It's for someone in the movie industry who does like these things for whatever it is, whether it's humanitarian reasons, where things with charities and stuff like that. And some big well-known people have won these awards, and the Irving Thalberg I think just goes to people that they. I hope I'm not mixing it up with the Golden Globes, but regardless, usually those are kind of highlight moments in previous Academy Awards, and I kind of missed those because now, and they used to do a lot of montages as well, with just all sorts of movie related stuff, and now the only one that seems to have been kept is the In Memoriam montage, which I really do like.
No, they should do that. I think that's great that they do that every single year. They put all those people in.
And one thing that is annoying, I think, is I think some of the speeches were a little bit annoying because you still have a lot of your standard. People just get up there and thank everybody under the sun, and at the end of the day, most of the people they're thanking, nobody in the TV audience knows who the hell they're talking about, unless of course they're just thanking the other actors and actresses and the director. But they come there with a laundry list of you won the award, they didn't. You don't got to thank everybody. And that's probably one of the main reasons why they introduced the whole play the music and cut you off, because people just stood up there and just thanked everybody under the sun. Yeah. Tell a story. Give a good speech. Tell a story. Talk about your life. Give some a memorable speech. And some people did that, which was really good.
And those are the better speeches.
And then there were some people that got up there and they didn't know what to say. They just stood there and kind of fumbled around and said nothing. And then they just started looking around and let me look for my speech, and and it's like, all right, you know, you just wasted 2 minutes and you haven't even started your speech yet.
Yeah.
You know, and you know you're about to get, you know,
I think of the music.
you're about to get the music playing. You know, so I found those a little annoying. So I mean, if you're gonna make all this time for the speeches, you know, give a good speech.
Absolutely.
You know, that's what I feel.
But,
So I'm looking forward to another 2019 of films, and I just hope that there's more out there. Like I said, there's definitely some films in 2018 that I missed that I need to see, and I'll eventually, you know, watch them on.
well, that's like the funny part. Is like we're catching up on some of our 2018 films,
Well,
and it's 2019.
Yeah. Also, you got to keep in mind that, you know, a lot of these films probably didn't come out till November or December.
Right, which
You
is
know,
typically when the
you know,
Oscar season begins.
You know, people, they do that on purpose so the films are fresh in people's memories. You know, and at the end of the day, you know, in December, you know, people are getting ready for Christmas and the holidays and stuff, and they're not going to the movies every weekend. You know, or if you are, you're going to see one film. You have time in December to go see one film because
Yeah.
and you know you can't see the 6 of them that just came out that are trying to be Oscar contenders. So I think, you know, I just hope Hollywood. You know, goes out of their way and tries to make a better product. You know, and by product I mean art. You know, stop considering Hollywood as product, film as product. Consider it as art. Open the door for these more personal art style filmmakers. Open the door for diversity because
Get the opportunities out
you know, a diverse community of filmmakers will make a diverse assortment of films.
Take the chances on these smaller budget films.
Yeah.
Because what's starting to happen is these big tentpole films are overshadowing. So where are these smaller budget films going? Netflix.
Right.
Netflix, Hulu, like you started to say. I mean, Roma is a perfect example. Roma is the first in line for this whole wave that's going to start happening of films that are going to be streamed. They're going to be put in the theater for a very small amount of time,
Yep.
limited release, so they get that and they can get nominated, and they're going to go right to Netflix.
You know, and they're not making, you know,
And and I haven't seen it, but again, from what I've heard and seen, it was a good film.
and they're not spending, you know, these aren't like big budget. Like nobody's spending
These aren't $100 million films.
Nobody's spending $100 million on a film and putting it on Netflix because you're never going to get your money back.
No.
You know, there's no way.
And they know that.
You know, so those movies are going right to the movie theaters. You know, so now you have these, it's, you know, and
It's smaller budget films. That's what these are.
and that's okay.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like not for nothing. You know, people just throw money at the screen, and you know that throwing that much money at the screen doesn't necessarily buy you.
When people are nervous that like these streaming stations are going to start overshadowing the actual movie theaters. I don't see that happening.
Well, that's.
But like what I see is I just want to see a balance. I like, why can't we have the best of both worlds? Like, okay, you know what? They're going to produce this for a small amount of time. Okay, get it in the theater for a little bit so they can get maybe an audience to go see it there. But if I can come and see it in my living room on my giant TV.
Yeah, well, I mean, not for nothing. Hollywood is its own worst enemy because they have put themselves on the destructive path. Where now, you know, you got these films that, you know, that are being greenlit for $170 million.
But it's all franchises.
They are.
They're looking.
Not all of them are, but
no, not all of them. But like they're looking to keep the franchises going, to keep the money rolling in.
You know, and a lot of these, some of these movies don't go anywhere near making their money. Like I think Mortal Engines didn't come anywhere near to making their money back.
No.
You know, like so. You know that everybody's trying to make the big hit. And they're spending more and more money trying to do it, and it's like, you know, it's not working. And if everything is a blockbuster, you know, these smaller films eventually are going to get made somewhere else, and they created their own market for these places.
Absolutely.
Because
and Netflix is taking the opportunity. Netflix is giving these people the opportunity. Here, go make this film.
Yeah.
You want to go make this film? Small budget? Go make the film. And some of them have been very successful so far.
Yeah, and not for nothing, you know, they probably have more creative control.
Yeah, I would think so.
You know, they're probably making more, you know, artistic films. You know, and you know they're able to do things that, you know, a normal studio would never greenlight because just in the fact that the movie didn't cost anything to make. You know, all these movies in the past that, you know, cost nothing to make and made $1 gazillion, like, you know, say a movie like, you know, Halloween or Blair Witch Project. You know, these weren't funded by major studios banking on spending nothing and making 100 million.
Right.
You know, these were done by independents.
But they were just really good films.
Sure,
And
right,
people got word of mouth and they went and saw it.
Yeah, and it's a shame that, you know, Hollywood doesn't wake up and sit there and say, you know, there's more to life than the summer blockbuster. There's more to life than the big budget film. You know, if you go back, you know, a number of decades ago, you know, dramas and, you know,
Right.
comedies and, you know, what, like, these films are widely, and you go back to the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, you know, like your leading actors and actresses, like, you know, say like a Marlon Brando, like, you know, or Elizabeth Taylor, you know, these people came out with a movie, you know, it was huge, and it was a drama, you know, with, you know,
Right.
it wasn't special effect, you know, it was making headlines, and it was, people were reading about it in the you know, for the critics. And people were going in droves to see it in the film and enjoying a good film. You know, and these movies were just, you know, they were just really well-made films. Of, you know, some of them were very small scale. Some of them told a larger story. But at the end of the day, they were just good films. You know, it was, you know, there were many different shapes and sizes and things going on. And now, today, they just pigeonhole themselves into just, you know, one formula. You know,
That's
and,
it.
you know, it's their own fault. You know, they got to make better films, smaller films, and you know that's why you know, like, you know, Roma being in black and white, I'm really hoping that, you know, the critical acclaim and the success that this film has had sparks other people to dabble in black and white.
I know you like your black and white.
Yeah.
I know.
But more on that when we talk about Roma in the next one, because I think we're going to talk about. We're going to get a little bit more into Netflix in our next episode.
Yeah, I think we're gonna do a couple of reviews. But you know, overall, I agree with John. I'm hoping to see some really good films in 2019. I think the next one that we're going to see, since we started doing this, I think it's going to be our first like watch and review is probably going to be Captain Marvel next week.
It's already Captain Marvel's next week
Captain
already.
Marvel's next week, so I think we're going to see that and do a review right after that. So
Yeah.
look forward to doing that.
Still, at the end of the day, I still love the superhero movies.
Yeah,
you know?
still
But
gonna
I
go.
love, you know,
So I'm still gonna go see the temples no matter what.
Yep.
So I think with that, we're gonna sign off. Take care, guys. Hope you enjoy the Oscars.
Yep.
Take care. See you next time.
See you next time.